If I didn't know better, I would have thought that was glass textures wrapped in synthesized pad-like drones from a soundscaping library of some kind. But it's not. It's all glass textures made from completely organic sound sources and untreated other than some post-processing with reverb and a hint of delay. This is a belter of a library, and it is Bombay Glassware 2. Okay, so housed within Bombay Glassware are a series of struck textures where the glass was hit with soft rubber mallets, and bowed textures where we can get finger bowing, where the rim of the glass was played with the finger and some water, along with an actual cello bow that was on the edge of the glass as well, which was quite an experimental way of getting the sound out of the glass, but a really interesting, creative, and almost metallic sound while still retaining its watery, glassy sound. There's variations there as well with short versions and ricochet bows. Let's take a look at the interface. As you can see, we are housed within our performance-led overlay threshold control functionality, where we can choose any articulation and stack that articulation however we want with the use of threshold overlays that react to your velocity input as a performer on the keyboard. The difference with Bombay Glassware is because we're not trying to emulate specifically a soloist instrument like a cello or a flute or a violin, we can use our overlay thresholds to stack articulations together to create a larger soundscape from hits and bows simultaneously. So if you want to remove, for example, the mallets from a certain section, you can simply select the velocity you require. So in this particular setup with performance mode 1 engaged, I now have it so that the mallets will not strike on anything below 80 in dynamic when I'm playing. So I'll get these soft bowed textures. And as soon as I hit above 80, I'll start getting those mallet hits. So it means I can create like a pad sound. And create my melody on top of that using the mallets if I wanted to do it like that, or any permutation that you wish. Really, that is your element to be as creative as possible with. Okay, for everyone that wants to use key switching, it is still on offer, of course, as it is with all of our libraries, but it is just advisable to use the overlay system at this point because it's so much more freeing and performance led. But let's go to the key switching mode so we can go through each one of these sounds individually. So up first is the mallet strikes. Beautiful texture. I'm going to turn that delay off so we can hear a bit clearer just the specific sounds. I'll get rid of the stereo modeling and let's drive the mix up a bit from the reverb. Awesome. Right, let's go to the mallet strikes reverse. These are very slow and brooding. They take a while to come in because they're designed to happen after the mallet strikes, really. So if I hold a chord, it will take a moment and then we'll get this lovely whoosh of texture. It's beautiful. So I'll hold a bigger chord. It's very cool. So layered in, if we go to overlaying mode briefly and chuck in the mallet strikes as well, and I'll play the same chord. And there goes all of our lovely reverse textures. Okay, back to our key switching and to our finger bows. This is where we're exciting the glass and creating a reverberant texture by rubbing your finger across the glass rim with water to create this sort of texture. It's really lovely. Such a beautiful texture, that one. Okay, the horse bows. The horse bow is a cello bow. It just differentiates between using finger and horsehair. So a horsehair bow on the edge of glassware. Another beautiful texture. Okay, short horsehair bows. Just going to turn the volume up for these a little bit. That's great. And what is interesting about this instrument is that we have in the light blue the recorded range that is possible with glassware in your standard configuration, and everything in the green ranges are created by manipulating the pitch of the lowest and highest extremities of the actual recorded pitch, giving you so much more of the wealth of an instrument and creating kind of a soundscapey texture either side of the actual recorded pitches. So when you get low, you get these really interesting drawn out textures. Awesome. If we go to ricochet horse bowing, let's hear what that sounds like in the actual range and then check out some of that low stuff because it's really cool. The volume up a bit. Okay, it's all recorded range and now some extended range. So rich, there's so much going on there, it's really excellent. Okay, so that is every individual articulation. We then of course have our performance mode 1 and performance mode 2, where these textures have been created in an interesting way that is just out the bag useful to you. So performance mode 1. And performance mode 2 leans more heavily on the bowing texture, so we don't get that initial attack. Really lovely. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the rest of the interface to get a sense of what's going on there. I'm going to go back to performance mode 1. We have levels here as well, just so we can mix each of these sounds to taste, especially important because we can overlay our textures now. So getting a nice mix between those things becomes quite paramount, especially if you want to assign these dials, sliders, to an external slider on your MIDI controller perhaps, and then mix in and out in real time. That could be a really interesting creative way to make use of the levels section of this instrument. Up as well here is the expression control, which is mapped to your mod wheel. Just allowing for some lovely swells in there as well to create some more movement in your music. An ADSR envelope, attack, decay, sustain, release, creating slow attacks and long decays and quick or slow releases. The longer the release, the more natural it's going to sound in this context. However, if you want that kind of stopped, abridged sound of your hand kind of grabbing the glass and stopping it, just shorten the release time and you'll achieve that. Okay, the polystep sequencer. We've discussed this a little bit in other walkthroughs as well, but ultimately a 6-sequence step sequencer that is very powerful. We could just have the one pattern, or we could have up to 6 running simultaneously, creating a plethora of rhythmic complexities or we could just cycle through individual patterns or create one pattern. The choice is yours, really. I'll just pop this on and let's take a quick listen to what we've got. Okay, so with a few tweaks, we're already getting somewhere quite interesting and rhythmic. If I was to enter pattern 2 as well and create some additional textures here. So you can hear how those things symbiotically live together now, and we're getting more and more complicated. The more you add, the more complicated it'll get, or you can hit solo and just have the individual patterns working one at a time. The choice is yours. The possibilities are endless here. Okay, onto the Arpeggiator. A pretty standard Arpeggiator section here. Let's take a listen to how it sounds on some basic chords. Okay, so we had a quick whistle-stop tour of how the Arpeggiator works there. We changed our order, the direction of the notes that they occur in, added some strikes, added some swing, and added a second octave as well. Okay, so onto the effects page. Here we have our relatively standardized stereo, delay, and reverb sections. However, you'll also notice that there is a filter. This is a low-pass filter, so we get the classic low-pass filter cutoff along with resonance, just to add additional timbral changes to the sound you can create. Use it, of course, as a sound designy thing or a way to manipulate your overall expression as well, or use it just to simply roll off some of that top end to create a slightly warmer, muddier sound. Okay, that has been an in-depth look at Bombay Glassware 2 and all that is new in the version 2 update. Head to insanitysamples.com for more information. Thanks for watching.